So here's what we got to work with. We're gonna turn this into this. Welcome back, folks, to Random Rod Shop. You know, today is going to be one of those things where we take, you know, two things and kind of lump them together to solve one problem. I don't know how many of you guys have seen the Eastwoods video from 7 or 8 or 10, I don't know how many years ago, that has Gene Winfield talking about his pipe anvil. And if you look on YouTube, there's a lot of people who's made a Gene Winfield style pipe anvil. When I saw that, I'm like, well, that's pretty neat, but I think it could do more. now, Gene made his 52 inches long because he was doing, you know, rocker panels for a Merc, and that's how long they are. I really don't want something 52 inches long, but I'd like to be able to do something 52 inches long. So, in that vein, and given that, you know, we need to make some rocker panels, I think we're going to build, or at least we're going to attempt to build, what I've been thinking about for a long time. I have no idea whether it's going to work, but we're going to give it a shot. So as usual, I've been gathering up scrap metal, and I got a pile of random bits. We got a cultivator for a lawnmower. We got some meat hooks out of a, you know, a commercial meat locker. We got a big hunk of iron. And we got some pipe, and, you know, there's some square tubing, there's another pipe, and there's an I-beam. Now, hopefully, we can put that all together. So, I'm going to start by cleaning up some stuff. We need to get out of the sun. It is hot today. So I'm going to try to get this stuff cleaned up out here, and then we'll move it inside in the shade, and maybe you guys can see what I'm doing. Now we got to figure out how to get this level. I'm going to go grab that's a machined edge down there, so put the level on the floor, put the level here, and get them the same, and that ought to be pretty close. Then we're going to dig out the arc welder. See if we can get some penetration. All right. Let me get the level out. Or let me find the level. And I'll get back to you. All right, I found a level. Let's see if the floor is level back here. Well, that floor is pretty level. So that should mean that if this is all right, well, that should be level. Well, I always thought it should have anyway. All right, let me, I gotta drag the 220 cord over here and wallow out my old cracker box, and we're gonna see if we can get this welded together. That was pretty straightforward. Took my hunk of metal, put some legs on it. Now, the idea is I want to put that top big pipe cantilevered off this. That's the reason I wanted something big and heavy, because I want to cantilever that top pipe. All right. Let's go see what it's going to take to get that put on here and kind of squared up. All right, so I found a piece, found an old axle that's about the same diameter as this hole that's right here. I'm going to slide the pipe over it and flush the top of this with the top of the pipe. That's a big pipe. Let me go find a jack stand so I can hold up that end of the pipe. All right, let's see what we got. Put a little piece of cardboard and tape. I need to shim this up just a touch. So let me stick the pipe on here and let's see what we got. Looks like we still need a little more. Oh, that's good. All right, let's raise it up a little bit. I did my best to square this face off. Let's see how good we are. Well, that looks good. That looks real good. Now I'm gonna see if I can get this welded. I'm definitely happy about that. All right, let me turn the welder up. Now let's weld it in. All right, well, that's the, in my mind, that was the easy part. So we have our center post, and now, given that it's, you know, it's front heavy, we need to put a leg out there so that it'll do what we want it to do. I think what I'm going to do first, I'm going to knock that C-channel off that I use to align the legs, because I want to use that C-channel for something else here. And we'll get it leveled back up, and then we'll see what we're going to do. All right, let me show you what I got. Got an old I-beam from a think it was a 50 Ford flatbed we cut down. So you can see I got the plumb bobs draped on each side and basically measure from the I-beam to the center of the plumb bob. That way I can get that centered. And then on the front, it looks like these two faces are parallel and they're the same distance from that big hole. So I measured from here down to the side of the I-beam to get it positioned on this end. So right now I think we got it pretty close. So that I-beam is going to give it the support from tipping over. All right, I'm going to get that thing welded in there, and then we're going to work on the little pipes. We'll see how that works out. All right, I got that I-beam welded in down there. Let me show you. So I went ahead and put a stiffener on the front side. And it moved just a little bit. At the end of the day, that's not gonna hurt it. Remember that on the pipe anvils, it's the relationship between the two pipes. I mean, technically, you could have this thing going down at 40 degrees and it'd still bend a piece of sheet metal. So I'm pretty happy with that. I think that's going to work. Okay, now we need to get some side pipes on here. In my case, it's going to be a pipe and a solid square bar. That's what I think it anyway. Okay, let me gather some stuff up on the bench, and we're gonna have to do some cutting and welding, obviously. So let me get my stuff together. All right. Well, here's my idea. So we have the round pipe and the square pipe, and they're gonna go over like this normal, right? Instead of welding them to, or bolting them to that center piece, what I'm thinking is I'm going to bolt that arm to that pipe on both ends, and I'm going to do the same thing to the square tubing. All right, I'm going to bolt these two to the square tubing. Then, you know, I've got this frame. I'm going to connect them at the bottom and put one pivot in that connector bar. And that connector bar is going to connect to an ear right here. And you can see what's happening. So the pipes, you know, the side pipes, or in my case, pipe and square bar, will be able to move this way. And you're like, well, that's not what you want to do. Well, I'm going to put a turnbuckle in between the two pipes on each side, and basically there's only one sheet metal thickness gap on both sides. Right, on a normal pipe anvil, you'll have a gap on this side and you'll have a gap on this side. On this one, my plan is tighten that turnbuckle up so that the side I'm not using is tight up against here, and then use a piece of sheet metal to gauge this side. The interesting thing about that is, once you get that set, it can easily move this way and you got the gap on this side. So that's what I'm thinking. If it doesn't make any sense, hopefully you'll follow along, and it will in the end. All right. So I need to neck this down All right, I need to taper this in because I don't want it any thicker than the pipe. So I'm going to go ahead and notch this out, pinch it together, and I'm going to cut some slugs out so that I can put a plug in the end of these in the end of this pipe, and then I can just run a bolt through here into the plug I'm going to weld in, and that should be good. The one piece I'm not entirely sure of is whether I can drill that. That's a PTO shaft out of a really old brush hog we have, or we used to have. I guess we still got the pieces of it. So I don't know if that's drillable or not, but we're going to figure it out. I'm gonna start cutting. Yeah, I've said it I don't know how many times. Everything takes longer than you think it should. All right, let me show you where we're at right now, and I think you get the idea of where we're headed. So, I'm going to tie those two together on both sides and pivot them in the middle. Right, so they'll move side to side together. The reason I guess I like this idea, and got to trim this out, right? Have to trim this back. Still haven't got that trimmed, and that'll fit up there with a, whatever gap you want. On this side, looks like my angle iron is a little bit, so we're gonna have to adjust the angle iron. But with them tied together, you can actually suck this one up to the side and leave a gap on this one, and you'll be able to slide the material in from the end. So you can make as long of a bend as you want. Looks like we've got just a little bit of, all right, you can't get a long bend in there. Probably should have trimmed that down before we got this far, but oh well. Anyway, what do you guys think? All right, I'm going to make the brackets, see if I can trim up these corners and get this thing sitting in here like it's supposed to. Well, folks, there it is. I thought sure I had some turnbuckles, but I'm gonna have to get some turnbuckles. So let me show you what this thing is. All right, so see, I got a C-clamp on there and got some wire, but basically I was gonna put a turnbuckle between here on both sides. That way you can set that gap, and since they're pulling together, one side will be pulled up tight and the other side will have the gap. Then if you want to go to the other side, and basically you pull it this way and you'll be able to use this side with the same gap. Added benefit is I got a beater block. All kinds of corners and things like that. Let me, I'm gonna grab a piece of metal, and here is why I've been thinking about that. So, whatever length you want, do a little bit of trimming there. You can put some long stuff in there. If that square bar turns out to be a problem, then I'll just put a round bar in it like this, and then you could just flip the material around and work at both sides. In the end, that may be the right answer, but I wanted a square bar on this, and that's a solid bar, so you can beat on that. So once I get the turnbuckles in and I get the clearance in there, I think you can bend not a tight radius. That's kind of what I'm looking for. This rocker panel has a pretty tight radius up at the top, but they're not real tight down here. So I was looking for something that would help me out on that to build a, a looser radius. I could have modified the brake, but I've been wanting to build this thing for a while. Let me put the camera up and let's bend something. You'll be able to see the pieces are still spreading because I don't have a firm way to clamp it. Let's see if we can go down on the end here. Well, that kind of destroyed that, didn't it? I'll have to straighten that out. I monkeyed that up. Yeah, we definitely got to tighten that up. But I think it's going to work out all right. Decide to do transmission tunnels, floorboards. Should be able to work from the back and make this thing work. All right. I'm going to get a turnbuckle for this thing and clean up some of the welds. It's been a hot, long day. But I'm happy about this. Oh, I didn't get that bolt tightened up there. That was part of the problem. I got that one tight. All right. Well, I think that's going to be all we're going to get done. Man, I appreciate you watching. If you're subscribed, I really appreciate it. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Make a comment, leave a like, and until next time, I think it's time to get a shower and go eat, start editing. I'm Randy, Rob Shop. We're out of here.